All right, let's talk about something we all click agree on, but let's be honest, almost never actually read the OpenAI privacy policy. It's full of legal language, but our goal today is simple. We're going to cut through all that jargon and figure out what really happens to your stuff when you use ChatGPT. So let's get into it. You know that moment, right? You type in a question, maybe something for work, or just a funny idea for a poem. You hit enter, and magic happens. But where does your question actually go? What's the journey it takes behind the scenes? That is exactly what we are going to unpack. Okay, so first stop on this journey is figuring out what OpenAI is even collecting in the first place. The easiest way to think about it, based on their policy, is to imagine two different streams of information flowing from you to them. And check this out. This slide breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got the stuff that you give them. This is the obvious stuff, your name, your email, and of course, all the prompts, images, and files you upload. Then on the other side, you've got what they get. This is the technical stuff that's collected automatically in the background. Understanding this split is key because it separates what you choose to share from what's gathered just by using the service. So let's zoom in a bit on that they get category. It's not as mysterious as it sounds. We're talking about things like your IP address, which gives a hint about your general location, what kind of web browser you're using, and even what kind of device you're on. This is all pretty standard for almost any website or app you use, and it helps them keep things secure and running smoothly. All right, now for the big one. This is the question everybody asks. Are your chats, your random thoughts, your questions, are they actually being used to make the AI smarter? This is probably the most important part of the entire policy. Well, here's the answer, straight from the horse's mouth. The policy says, and I'm quoting here, "We may use content you provide us to train the models that power ChatGPT." So let's be crystal clear. The answer is yes. By default, your conversations can become fuel for the AI. But, and this is a really important but, you have control over this. The policy is very clear that you can opt out. You just have to dive into your account settings, look for a section on data controls, and you'll find a little switch to turn it off. It's your right to do this, so it's definitely worth taking 30 seconds to go check your settings right now. So, we've established that your data can be used for training, but that's not the end of the story. It turns out your data has a few other jobs to do, mostly to make sure the whole service actually works. Let's take a look. This chart gives you a great visual. See that huge slice? That's just running the service. It's the basic stuff needed to give you an answer. But it's also used for research and improvement, for security, to catch bad actors, to make sure they're following the law, and, to send you emails about your account. Okay, this leads to another huge question. Is it just you and OpenAI in this conversation, or is someone else looking over your shoulder? The policy lays out a few very specific situations where your data might be shared with other people. And this table sums it up really well. They might share it with vendors, the companies that provide their cloud servers and stuff like that. If the government comes knocking with a legal order, they may have to comply. If you're on a work account, your company's administrator can likely see your data. And of course, if OpenAI ever gets sold, your data is part of the package. We've covered what they collect, how they use it, and who they share it with. So now, let's talk about the most important part, your power. You actually have a lot of control over your information, and OpenAI's policy lays out what your rights are. Think of this as your personal toolkit for data privacy. You have the right to ask for a copy of your data. You can ask them to delete it. If you see something that's wrong, you can ask them to correct it. You can even ask them to stop using your data in certain ways. These are powerful rights, and it's important you know you have them. So how do you use this toolkit? Well, for a lot of things, you can just go right into your account settings. For more formal requests, the policy gives you the specific email address. That's your direct line to their team that handles these kinds of data requests. So when it's all said and done, when the policy talks about personal data, what they really mean is pretty much everything. It's your name, your prompts, your IP address, your device info. If it relates to you, it's considered your personal data, and it's all covered by these rules. So there you have it. We've gone from the moment you hit enter all the way to understanding your specific rights as a user. You're now way more informed about how this all works. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know the rules of the road, are you going to drive any differently? Something to think about.